Welcome to Seeking the Light of a Thousand Suns, where we explore the magical and the mystical in our everyday lives. In today's episode, we're diving into the essential elements of earth, air, fire, water, and spirit. These elements influence every aspect of our daily lives. Whether you're seeking balance, inspiration, or a deeper connection to the universe, understanding and working with these elements can be transformative. Imagine harnessing the grounding stability of earth, the creative spark of fire, the fluidity of water, and the clarity of air. And let's not forget spirit, the unifying force that connects us to the divine and unseen energies. So light your candles, grab a cup of tea, and settle in as we embark on this elemental journey together. Let's discover how to bring the magic of the elements into your everyday living. Hi, Maya.
Hi, Gia. Let's give them the tea on the elements.
Yes, the elements.
So we chose to start with air because the element of air is is a signifier of new beginnings, and for some people, this will be a new beginning. Um, the air element is also associated with intellect, communication, the breath of life. It is the force that governs the mind, ideas, words. Understanding and working with the air element can enhance your clarity, your creativity, and ability to manifest intentions through thought and speech.
So, some of the symbolism to air would be the symbols that would be symbolic to air. That was a bit redundant. Um, are the pentacle. The air symbol is often depicted as an upward pointing triangle with a line through the top. Colors would be yellow, white, and light blue. Animals, birds, butterflies, and insects. Plants, fragrant herbs like lavender, sage, and lemongrass. I love lemongrass. Stones, citrine, amethyst, and clear quartz. And the direction that's associated with air is east.
Oh
I actually
dear.
spent
We lost
quite a
Gia
bit
for
of
a second
time
there.
today with air and earth. I was outside and my son and I were planting new seedlings. And it was I shouldn't say very, it was a nicely windy, sunny day. And it was so relaxing, yet that air, the element of clarity, right, kept us motivated to get our project done. It had our focus honed in on getting all those little baby seedlings into their little pots. So it's quite stimulating.
I would like to say too that any winged animal would be depictant of the air element. That would be including mythical creatures like the phoenix, dragons, um, and Pegasus and the other winged creatures. Um, and there are elementals also, and we'll get into those at a later time because each element has a guardian, and there are also elementals. The attributes would be things that you would use the element of air for in your practice or in your magic or spells. That would be intelligence, clarity, communication, freedom. And I think letting something go. So, like if you were to use it um, as a letting go, you're letting it go to the wind, if that makes sense. Um, it also, the energy of air is active and dynamic. I mean, if you think about like the winged animals and think of a hummingbird and how much active energy there is involved in that. Um, the season is spring. The time of day is dawn. The zodiac signs associated with air are Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. And the chakra associated with air is the throat chakra.
Vishuddha. Maya, what are some of the magical tools that correspond with air?
Well, this could be controversial. Well, some people believe that it would be a wand, and others believe that it would be a sword. So it depends on what tradition you follow as far as that type of tool. Um, feathers. Feathers could be a magical tool. A fan, like the hand, like when that flips open like a hand fan.
Yes.
I don't know what those are called.
I
My
think just
favorite
hand
magical
fan.
tool. Any type of incense, because the smoke burns, the uh, the smoke moves through air. Your voice is also a very powerful magical tool that is associated with air.
Some of the herbs and plants that are associated with air, we had mentioned before, but here is a little bit more detail on those. So, lavender, because it promotes peace, clarity, and relaxation. Sage, used for purification and enhancing wisdom. Lemongrass, as it aids in clarity, focus, and dispelling confusion, which is one of the many reasons why I love lemongrass. Um, Oftentimes we'll get you know, off of our train of thought, or we might be knocked off of our train of thought, and you can burn a little bit of your lemongrass, and it'll help to rid that mental confusion and get you back on track of what you were trying to do.
I'd like to also add too, like when we talk about these herbs and plants, and they have various uses. You could use them as a live plant fragrance. Like Gia said, you can burn them. There's many different things that you can do with them. Um, but you want to make sure that you research the plant. You don't want to consume anything you shouldn't consume. You don't want to make an anointment, an oil, or like a salve or a rub or anything with ones that shouldn't be in contact with skin and such. But what is so important about the herbs is their actual natural energetic essence. And so when we talk about herbs and the elements, that's what we're referring to is their natural energetic essence. Deities and spirits. Air deities are going to be like Hermes because he's got the little wings on his shoes.
Mm.
Thoth, because Thoth is also, the Egyptian. I don't know what type of bird. I'm just going to be honest, but he's also a bird. Athena, is she because of the bow and arrow?
Yes.
Uh, I believe, and also forest creatures. Oh, here's the elemental spirits. I didn't think we were going to be getting to that, but those are the sylphs and fairies. The fairies would be the elemental, like on the earthly plane, and the spiritual plane would be the sylphs. And when we go into Guardians of the Watchtowers and elementals and such, we'll touch harder on that. So, Gia, what are some magical uses that you would recommend with the element of air?
Yes. Magical usage such as communication to enhance clarity and effectiveness in speaking and writing. Knowledge for seeking wisdom, enhancing learning and academic success. Travel, ensuring safe journeys and adventures. Creativity, stimulating imagination and innovative thinking.
So, can we go into those just a little bit deeper?
Absolutely. So, and I kind of utilize air often myself um, for all four of these. Now, for me, even in travel, like even if it's an everyday travel, um, to like for instance, I utilize that aerodynamic force around my vehicle and harness that to create a circular shield around my car so that we can travel safely. Creativity, I like to always think of the creativity side of air as being like the cloud, that cloud symbol. We call things, um, for like, for instance, where you store things in the cloud. Typically, when you're using a symbol for brainstorming in a group meeting setting, you're using like a cloud symbol. You're putting all of these ideas into a cloud and collaborating them together, right? So thinking about it in that way, even if you're doing like an idea board, using post-its, you're putting them on that board and you're utilizing air through the motion of it. You're sending and receiving through air um, ideas to one another and to the universe. Same with like knowledge seeking, right? When you think about it this way, you're seeking wisdom, you're bringing it down, through your crown chakra, but it's got to travel through air. So you're using the element of air to gain these specific things. I like when it comes to like communication, as Maya said earlier, our voice is a very strong tool with air. When we're speaking, it's going not only is the sound going into the air, but the vibrations that we're sending off
Yeah,
with it.
that's right. That's right. So, when I think of magical uses for communication, I think of, like when we writing spells, or
Yes.
like writing like poetry or jingles, or little rhymes in our spell work. The act of actually doing the writing of the ritual. Um, I think of for the knowledge part, it would be like the seeking the wisdom through um, uh, witchy books, through the intranet, through um, using your voice to ask for knowledge being passed to you from spirit guides, ancestors, angels, um, traveling. The first thing that comes to mind, because we're in the element of air, would be like the astral, you know, type traveling. Um, but it can also even be like, if you think about air being the intellectual part, it can even be like the planning of the travel, getting out the map,
Oh, yes.
figuring out point A to point B, and like all of the in between details. And air creativity, I think of, like you had talked in a past podcast, like the coloring by numbers. I think of like that. I think of the atomic writing. I think of again, painting, drawing, things like that in magic.
Yeah.
Sigils is a perfect example, or symbols, runes, binding runes, and such. So those would be some of the other magical uses just off the top. There's also a spell work example. Would you like to share, Gia?
Yes.
Okay.
So clarity of mind ritual. The purpose of this ritual is to clear mental fog and enhance focus. The materials you will need are a yellow candle, a piece of clear quartz, and a small fan or feather. Okay, so here are the steps. You're going to need to sit in a quiet space and light the yellow candle. Hold the clear quartz in your hands and take deep breaths, imagining the air cleansing your mind. Use the fan or feather to gently move the air around your head, visualizing any mental fog being swept away. Then you say, by the power of air, I clear my mind and embrace clarity and focus. Keep the clear quartz with you to maintain mental clarity.
So, for our listeners that have not done ritual planning and they're not savvy on the process of, I don't want to say props, but props and their correspondences and how they communicate to your subconscious, the reason for the yellow candle, for example, would be that is representing that air element because the element color is yellow. Let's say you want to do this tonight or tomorrow, but you don't have a yellow candle. We got you, because a white candle will replace any color candle you do not have. Okay? The candle, it doesn't have to be a 7-day candle. It doesn't have to be a pillar candle. It doesn't have to be a 3-wick candle. It doesn't have to be a tea light. It can be whatever you want. Um, whatever you want. Tea lights are nice because you can light it and forget it. You know, those are my favorite because they could just burn out. You can let it keep going, and it's not something that you have to do anything special with. But any type of candle, you got a birthday candle, there you go.
Yes.
Okay, um, so that's the purpose. The clear quartz, again, that is a clear quartz is also a general purpose stone. Like if you don't have a specific stone um, that represents the element of air, which is usually a color of yellow, um, then the clear quartz takes that place. And clear quartz is something that I think that every witch should have in their toolbox. Personally, I think that. Um, a small fan or feather, you don't have that? Got you. We got you. Because it's not about the item, it's about what you associate your mind with. Okay? So if you don't have a feather and you don't have, um, use a piece of paper as a fan. Use your hand. Use your hand as a fan. You can use whatever your imagination brings you. Um, when it says imagining, air cleansing your mind, the first thing that came to my mind is as I'm breathing in, feeling that breath being taken into my entire body, not just through my mouth, but taking that breath and feeling it coming all the way through, almost like your skin, your hair, your mouth, your lungs, outside, inside, everything. And then when you visualize sweeping the fog away is when you do the exhale and you see all of the fog then exiting the body, if that makes sense.
Yes.
You don't have to say, by the power of air, I clear my mind and embrace clarity and focus, but that's just sealing the deal for you. You're using your voice in the element of air to declare your intention, and you're reminding your subconscious of what you're doing here. So, keeping the clear quartz on you to maintain clarity. You remember Dumbo, right? The movie Dumbo? And he could always fly, whether or not he had the feather. Okay? You're still going to have clarity whether you have that clear quartz in your pocket. Okay? But that clear quartz is going to remind your mind of what the intent was throughout the day. And then the energies of the stone will also contribute to your working and your intention. So, this kind of a little bit of a breakdown, just in case our listeners have not done ritual, they don't understand. Like, you're telling me to do this, but I don't know why, because I'm a why person personally. Why? Why am I saying this? Why am I doing this? Why a fan? Why a clear quartz? Why? Why? Uh, so there you go. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Gia.
No, I loved it. That was awesome.
Okay, you go to the next one. I'll wait and try not to do that again.
So the next one is the communication spell. The purpose for this is to enhance communication skills and express oneself clearly. The materials you will need are a piece of paper, a blue pen, a feather, and lavender incense. The steps are: write your intention for better communication on the piece of paper. Light the lavender incense and wafted the smoke over the paper, saying, "Air, grant me the gift of clear and effective communication." Place the feather on top of the paper and meditate on your intention for a few minutes. When you're done with your meditation, carry the paper with you when you need to engage in important conversations or presentations.
Can I can I
Yes,
add to
please.
this
I was
one
waiting for
too?
you. I was.
Okay. Okay, so when I hear through the steps, this is something that makes me think of when you have to make an important decision, like signing a contract or a legal matter or something like that. Okay. Um, so, piece of paper. It can be lined paper, unlined paper. It can be a corner of a piece of paper. It can be printer paper. It can be notebook paper, whatever kind of sticky note, whatever you want. Um, Sticky note would be cool though, because it's
Yes.
yellow. Anyway, I get okay. Um, Blue pen. It doesn't have to be blue. Just gonna say, it doesn't have to be blue. You want it to be blue? You can use blue. You don't have blue? It doesn't have to be blue. It doesn't have to be a pen. The action for air is going to be the writing part of it and not the color or the utensil. Um, Lavender incense. I'm just going to put a little witchy tip out there. Okay. If you use incense, it can be any type of incense, any type, because it's the smoke that's doing the air element. Okay.
Yes.
What the lavender is doing is giving you that calm, relaxing clarity through the aroma that's going through your nose. Um, and for you witches on budget, if you haven't looked into having lavender, it can be pricey depending on where you're at. So my little witchy tip for you would be, well, you can get seeds and plant your own and grow, or you can buy lavender tea bags, um, and you can use lavender aroma, um, drink, or burn by buying those tea bags. They're not very expensive. Just grab a pack of herbal lavender tea bags and you got multi-purpose lavender right there. Um, And again, carrying the paper with you, that is to keep the perpetual movement of your spell by being a reminder, is what that is. Because the way spell work is you're supposed to set it and forget it, okay? Unless you're doing something that you want to continue to keep moving. And in this situation, it would be something that you would want to continue to keep moving. And so that's when you would use something as a reminder, whether it be, again, in this one, it could be the clear quartz, it could be the yellow stones, it could be the piece of paper, it could be anything that's going to remind you to keep thinking about what you said. Sorry.
I love
just said,
those ideas.
I just don't know what level the listeners are at. So
I love
we're
that.
just going to kind of break things down a little bit. It's going to make more sense, of course, as we do more podcasts for those people that are new. Try not to get too stressed or concerned, because it'll start to make more sense as more things come out.
Exactly. So,
And there's the Google. Google's your
yes,
friend.
yes, Google. They should,
The only thing about it is unfortunately, Google will also give you stuff that you probably shouldn't use.
yes.
And so you kind of, as a non-seasoned practitioner, some of these things that you shouldn't do, you learn by doing. And it's a mistake, but it's a lesson. So, yeah. Go ahead and do the next one.
So, our next spell, last one for this episode, is the creative inspiration spell. The purpose: to stimulate creativity and invite inspiration. The materials needed are a light blue candle, a piece of amethyst, and a notebook or sketch pad. The steps are: light the light blue candle and place the amethyst beside it. Close your eyes and take several deep breaths, feeling the air fill you with creative energy. Say, air, inspire my mind and ignite my creativity. Spend time writing or drawing in your notebook or sketch pad, allowing ideas to flow freely. Or if you're a painter, spend some time just doing your brush strokes. Let those ideas start to work themselves out on the canvas. And then the last step is you'll want to keep the amethyst on your workspace to maintain that steady flow of inspiration. Maya? Like, Maya?
Did you know I was going to say something?
No.
Okay. Again, so if you don't have a blue candle, a yellow candle or a white candle will work for this. If you don't have amethyst, again, your clear quartz is your friend. If this was me doing this spell, when I close my eyes and take breaths and feel the air of creativity fill me, remember when we talked on the last one and I said breathe in with your whole body?
Yes.
That's, I think, how I would go about this one. Is I would again do the porous breathing, where I am allowing the universal energy around me, the energy that's there for everyone. I would allow some of that to come in within me. Some.
I love
I said
that.
some.
And it's,
Be careful with that.
it's really important to, I mean, when you're doing these steps, you take the time that you feel right about taking. So, these there's no right or wrong amount of time that each one of these steps should or should not take. It's using your inner voice, your inner self, your inner guidance, your intuition. And when you feel, okay, I got it, then you know you got it.
And if this was me doing this spell, and of course, this is going to be, um, each of you and your choice. But if this was me, the idea of just automatically doing something creative would already give me anxiety before I started. If I didn't have an idea in my mind on what I wanted to be creative about already, this would just snap me over the top. So let's say you wanted to spark some type of creativity from yourself and you don't have an idea of what you want that to be. The first thing that I would do would be burn or drink some of that lavender to calm my anxieties down. And then when I got to my sketchbook, my notebook, or my piece of paper, when it says allow them to flow freely, that doesn't mean to sit there and go, come on, write something. What do I want to do? 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 It means to just take some breaths, relax, let your hand and your pen and such just flow freely and do whatever it is that they're going to do. And if that means just doing a whole bunch of circles or spirals or drawing clouds or whatever until you start taking over and your creativity starts to flow, just doodle. Just sit and doodle and just let your mind be free. Don't allow that I have to create something anxiety pick at you, if that makes sense. Because it's about opening up a door and not about forcing yourself to do something.
That's an awesome way of explaining it. I know I do that
Yeah.
when I paint sometimes. Actually, pretty much all the time. I never normally paint anything with anything specific in mind. Um, my paintings are, for me, they're part of my way of getting messages out of my head and such. And so this is what I typically will do when I paint. And I put my colors in front of me, whether it's the watercolors, acrylics, whatever. I grab my brush, my blank canvas, and I oftentimes even I'll just close my eyes and I'll just let the brush strokes go where my subconscious tells it to go. And there have been instances that even, doing this where I'll sit down and I'll do this for however long I feel is necessary each night, maybe skipping some nights, but normally it's this strange little consistent habit that just comes when I allow it to free flow. And then I'll just close my eyes again. I won't actually look to where I left off. I'll just close my eyes and just allow my own inner self to continue with the painting. And then when I feel it's done, when I'm like, I don't feel like I need to get anything else out onto it, I don't critique it. I don't criticize it. I don't try to look at it with a fine-tooth comb. Instead, I know I'm done. I'll go let it dry and it's done.
And this can be also something where if you don't feel like, if this is something new for you and it feels odd or awkward, after those steps in that ritual, before you actually start allowing things to escape you freely, you can ask the element of air to guide you. You can say, element of air, please guide me. Please help me creatively flow free from pen to
Yes.
paper or from paintbrush to canvas or from whatever the case may be.
The other really cool thing about doing it this way is when you start to make it a habit, it's really intriguing what you create.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I know I had mentioned this before, and maybe it's a little bit of a shameless plug, but with the book that I wrote, Crossing the Bridge, book one of the Dark Angel series, total plug-in. um, it started with me sitting in front of my computer, and I had had a dream the night before, and I took that dream and these characters that I saw in my head, right? And the scene that I witnessed in my head. And I just started to type it. I didn't look at the grammar. I didn't look at the punctuation, as I wasn't nitpicking it yet and doing the fine editing. I was just letting it flow. Next thing I knew, I had a chapter written and I was like, whoa, right? Then each night throughout the year it took me to write this novel, I kept having dreams about the next scenes and chapters coming up because I opened up that door by utilizing air. I basically gave my true inner self permission to create. And I did not allow my mundane self to have any real control. I had this habit. I was on a
That's awesome.
mission. It really, and it's interesting because Maya, you and we had talked about this. I think it was earlier on in the writing journey of it, um, where it even felt at times that parts of the story and the messages that were, intertwined within were coming from a higher aspect, not just myself, but like from a
Mm-hmm.
deity, from the universe, from something so much bigger than us. And when after I would finish a couple chapters and I'd read it again, I was like, I was really my mind was blown away because here all of a sudden this one thread, this one plot line, right, started to beautifully, like a rose bush, started to beautifully create its own new stems. And then all of a sudden it all came back at the end together. Are there mistakes? Of course there's mistakes. Who cares? I wrote a novel and I did it through the utilization of the element of air, through my gratitude, through my open mindedness, and through surrendering myself, surrendering that mundane self that often holds myself back, and
Mm-hmm.
allowing my higher self to
The
take
one that
over.
does all the,
Yes, yes. So,
yeah,
and going back to this, I mean, it's when you've practiced this, and maybe you don't even need that much practice, you might surprise yourself.
might be natural for some
Yeah,
people, yes. Others, it might be, it ain't going to happen the
yeah,
first time, and that's
that is
okay too.
okay. It's really about giving yourself that time to open yourself up and put it on a media.
Give yourself time to connect or
Yes.
disconnect, however you want to
Yes.
look at it. Right. Give yourself permission to just do freely whatever happens. And if you do this and you still have a blank piece of paper afterward, give yourself permission to try again at another time because not everything comes naturally to everybody the first time.
Mhm. I love that. And it's that is the biggest thing. And even if it is a blank piece of paper, right? Or you still have a blank canvas, ponder that. Why would it be blank? Is it really blank? I mean, there are more questions that can arise from this that you can open yourself up to. A blank canvas to one person is just a blank canvas, but to another person, it is the potential for so much more. It is not blank. It is filled with every spectrum of color because that's what, if you're using, like, for instance, a white blank canvas, that's what the color white is. It is all the colors combined. Um, and so think about that, right? Or find other ways to try to consider it, because through that, you're going to open up yet another door. And when that other door opens up, it might all of a sudden decide, oh, you should try this, right? And then all of a sudden you got something else going. You no longer have a blank canvas, but now you got the next idea that came from your higher self. And using canvas and writing, I mean, it can be anything. If you draw, if you sketch, if you color, if whatever you do, if you craft, just something that's
Right.
allowing yourself to get that creative energy flowing.
So for me, like, I'm sorry if I jumped in because you cut out.
No worries.
Um, oh, okay. So for me, a blank canvas or, having to be creative in like a writing or painting type scenario just throws me right into anxiety, just complete and utter anxiety. And if I was to do this, I would probably like do a lot of things to calm myself beforehand. But let's just say like this is just a nope. This is just a nope, nope in your book. Nope. Um, Connecting with the element of air doesn't have to just be writing and communicating. It can be an air instrument. It could be um, whistling. It could be singing. Um, there's a lot of different ways that you can use and connect with the element of air. So, again, just make sure that you have an open mind and use what works for you. And if something doesn't resonate, there's something else that will. And that's, I think, what a lot of newer witches or seekers, um, they have this idea in their mind or this feeling, and maybe that's the mundane negative self-talk or whatever, that if it's not done this way or if I can't complete this, um, then I'm not a witch or I'm not doing it right, or there's just all this negativity that comes through.
It's
um,
so true.
uh, an example an example would be with me and my mind's eye. Like, I spent off and on intermittently over the course of, I don't know, 12 to 14 years trying to project images in my mind's eye, trying to see with my mind's eye and my third eye, trying to meditate with picture and with color, and I would keep thinking that I was defective, and I would keep thinking that if everybody else can do this, why can't I do this? And it was grueling. Well, don't be like me, because it was a complete waste of time and energy, because I ended up finding out years later that it wasn't me. It had nothing to do with my abilities. It had nothing to do with how much focus or less focus or what technique or what I heard or what I practiced or what I did or what I saw. There's a condition behind why I can't. And so just keep an open mind when you're on your path. This is why we're talking eclectic. with our podcasts, because you use what works for you, you leave the rest behind. That's the motto. Um, and there will be things that you just don't resonate with, and that doesn't make you a lesser witch. The things that you resonate with don't make you a better witch. It's just we're all individual people. There's no mold. So I hope that helps.
It's essential too. And yeah, I mean, we use creativity, but then also think about it this way. You could be, if you're a tech person, maybe it's coming up with a new technology. Maybe it's tinkering with code. And then all of a sudden, you'll stumble upon something that is huge, right? Maybe you need inspiration to restructure a company that you own. Use this. Maybe you need inspiration to revamp a menu of your restaurant. Maybe you need inspiration on how to wrangle in some teenagers of yours. I mean, when you think about it, you can utilize this and incorporate it into any aspect of your life.
So the air element in magic is a very powerful ally for those wanting to enhance their intellect, their communication, their creative abilities. Um, it's also a very powerful ally if you need help with contracts, um, judgments, legal stuff. Also in relationships. Oh
Mm-hmm.
my gosh, there's so many awesome things that you can do to help. Now, I'm not saying control, I'm saying help with relationship communication, removing blockages that with air, basically. Um, so, by incorporating air correspondences, symbolism, and spell work into your practice, you can harness the energy of the element to support your mental clarity, expression, innovation. Embrace the freedom and lightness that air brings, and let it guide your magical journey. And also know that element of air is also one of the speedier elements. You work with air, we're working much quicker, my friend.
Well, thank you for joining us on this elemental adventure. Don't forget to subscribe to Seeking the Light of a Thousand Suns podcast and find us on social media such as YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, IG, Instagram, or X Twitter. If you enjoyed this journey together, leave us a review and share this podcast with your friends. Um, We're also going to be having some witchy merch, which will be available on our webpage at www.seekingthelightofone1000suns.com. The 1000 is the numeric. It is not spelled out, so it's just 1000suns.com.
Thank you for listening, and blessed be.